Okay, sorry about that. One of my students' mother came, had a short conversation. Okay, so basically, uh, so anyway, I'll go back to where I remember. Um, so my son, I think that was where I was at. So I told him, I was like, when I said, so you don't like to study. So now we were talking at home. I said, you study? He like, give me a look. I said, you don't want to gain information. And then when I said that, my wife, it kind of like, she was like, wow, that's true. I never thought about that, And it's really information. I mean, it's really interesting because even though now I understand it now, I understand that, hey, I need, excuse me, up my vocabulary. How you up your vocabulary? Dictionaries, books, reading, because it's all instructions. Everything's instructions. So here, my friend wrote this, and I was really surprised. And so I asked him, I said, show me what you wrote. He wrote that, he showed me this. Two people, two different brothers, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast, I think. And at least two, but I do this with a lot of people. And I was really surprised. Actually, this month, two people actually gave me the right answers. And the equals two is supposed to be equals two. Okay, so it should be, actually it should be this, right? Okay, but they wrote that, and I started laughing. And I'm like, wow. I said, 3 times 5 equals to 2? And they was like, no. And I said, well, why didn't you say nothing? He said, well, they both said the same thing. Well, I just go on with the flow and see what you're doing. I said, you don't go with the flow. I said, if something's wrong and you know it's wrong, you're supposed to stop right there and say, hey, this is wrong. You're supposed to stop. And then I gave some examples. Would you stop? Would you continue? They're like, no. I'm like, why would you do this? And then I asked them, I said, now, why did you write equals to? I said, do you know what equals to means? They're like, yeah, what I wrote. I said, no, equals to. Equals to. Equals to. And they were like, oh! They're like, this, this. And I was like, yeah. Now maybe it might equal to, equals to, whatever, but still. Equivalent to, I should have said that. But anyway, because I'm always saying equals to, 1 plus 1 equals to 3 and stuff like that. So, anyway, they wrote that, and I was just laughing. We all started laughing. And I said, see, that's what I'm saying. And that's the real big problem, the issue with black people, is a lot of us just don't understand the vocabulary, especially when it comes to math, because it doesn't make any sense for we to say, hey, our ancestors created math, and then the kids turn around and hate the math that the ancestors created, when all it is that they just lack a vocabulary because they don't understand it. It's not like it's not, all this. It's like like I had some friends on my players group, and I said, hey, let me teach you trigonometry. And they're like, no. One guy's always complaining, and people complaining. Why you always talking about trigonometry? I'm like, but do you know what trigonometry is? I don't care what trigonometry is. And I said, well, I can teach you. One guy was like, well, you're not qualified to teach me. And I know a lot of black people with degrees, and they're qualified to teach me trigonometry. That's if I want to learn it. And I got to thinking like, wow, that is so bad because trigonometry is really easy to learn, and all you got to do is just memorize these formulas. But basically all this is just a circle, and the degrees and the lines, and they're all the same because trigonometry is trigonometry trigonometry is equal to or greater than, I think that's equal to or greater, huh? It's trigonometry is going to be, I forget, let me see it because I might write it wrong. Anyway, trigonometry operates between two numbers, and those two numbers are going to be what are they? Between 0, which is nothing, between 0 and equal to or less than 1, and that's it. Because when you're doing cosine, sine, tangent, they're fractions, and what fraction equals to 0? What fraction? But it does equal, you can only go up to 1, and that's it. And when you start thinking about that, it should make math and everything, more easier to become more easy, huh? It should make math and everything else easier to comprehend. Everything, you know. And the only thing is just pronunciation. But now you got smartphones and go to dictionary and you got to speak and it'll say the word for you and stuff. So really, ignorance is no excuse for us in these days. Um, I'd encourage you all to have watch this video. I got my other free of mind videos and stuff like that. Watch those, get together with your friends, and really discuss what I'm saying. Because what I said, I'm not sure if I said it thoroughly or not, but I want this to be the last one because I think my mind is clear now. I can start going back to talking about some more other controlled images that are really fun that I want to do. Since everyone else want to do that, I can get into lingo too and have a, I can psych myself out and have a little fun and stuff like that, right? I'll laugh now and uh, I'll laugh now and cry later, and laugh now, cry later, and whatever, But please try to understand this. I say the same thing to my wife and stuff, but she's in her own world doing her own things, and I try to get it to my kids too. But they distracted by these games because they think these games, they just got these images with this game is, and they just constantly doing it and doing it, and they haven't really broken out of the cycle. And the only reason you're gonna be able to break out of the cycle is when you gain more information. Then when you start gaining information, it's gonna be like, oh well, I want to play this game, but then when you start thinking that the game is just a whole just coding and all of this stuff, and sometimes it may discourage you and stuff. It may not, but life is for fun. There's one other thing I wanted to say. To goodness, what was it? Okay, I'm gonna have to keep talking because it's really important. I need to talk about it. But anyway, but yeah, I talked to a lot of friends about a lot of things and math and sciences and it's funny because I was talking to some people about and now I'm just rambling until I remember what I have to say. But I was talking to people about remembering the periodical table and stuff, and they're like, oh, you don't remember? I said, yeah, I know. I'm studying now, trying to remember the words. And it's funny, just write it down. Write the, they got a lot of free apps. And just record yourself and write, say the words and atomic weight, atomic this and this, and just listen to it over and over and make a song out of it. It's really interesting. But there was something else I was supposed to say, vocabulary. Ah! That's it, slavery. Got two things. Let me say the important things first before I forget. Okay, we always, you're always hearing how, black scholars and whomever saying that, oh, the slave master didn't want you to. Well, that's what I'm hearing. Now, the real truth, maybe some people really know the real truth, but I haven't heard anyone say it. But they said that, oh, the slave master didn't let slaves read books because they were going to read about their history. But you have to understand that I think the most important information that some people gathered about Africa, I think I'm thinking it would have came from Napoleon when he went down there and invaded Africa, Egypt, and they were commanded to write everything exactly was, no prejudice, draw the picture exactly. And then all that information went there. So when did Napoleon go into Africa, then you have to think about it. They wrote it in French, and then some people, American, had to go through there, and get it and translate it to English, and then go through it and make sure it wasn't nothing in there that's going to upset their racism that they have, their system of keeping people oppressed that they have in the United States and stuff like that. So by the time all that information started coming to the United States, I think it probably was somewhere near the end of slavery or something like that. I would have to go and find out exactly what the dates was, but I truly believe that the reason they didn't let blacks read, slaves read, was because knowledge is instructions. That's all it is. its instructions, and they don't care. Even now, they don't care if you know Africa, the pyramids were built by black people. They don't care. They just made a new movie called Son of Egypt or some movie, and everybody in there is white. They got one black person in there, but everyone is white, you know. And I wonder if they got less than 16 people. One black person, 16, they all black. But anyway, they don't care. They're Hollywood. They're gonna make it, you know, for white people entertainment and stuff like that because probably I want to say maybe because they make it with all black people, white people probably not interested. They won't make the money, so they just make it with white people for the profit. You know, basically that would probably be the technical thing of it. But then, of course, you know, they've got a lot of psychological reasons behind that too, and of course, I know that. Like they said, America was built for white people, and slaves were here to do everything for the benefit of white people, and not all white people, just those select few and stuff like that. But if you were white, you did benefit from it in some many different forms. So the reason that they didn't, the real reason I think they didn't allow them to read is because reading elevates you because it's instructions. When when positive instructions builds, and when you build, you rise up, and that information would have given them the ability to rise above the power of the power that the white people had in those days to keep them in submission. So if you know, let's say like if they had rifles, but somebody read, and let's say one brother ended up making a M16 or whatever, then and then bulletproof vests, and then those long range sniper guns and stuff, then with the scope and all that stuff, then what could the white man do? The white man, black man said, we finished, they go to war, and of course, because they had the technology, to win. So it's not all about history. I don't think it had anything to do with that because we know our history now, and it's not changing anything. A lot of people probably don't even care. And I mean, how many black people can build a pyramid, or even trying to build a pyramid, or even trying to learn the mathematics behind the whole thing of making a pyramid. There's a lot of mathematics in it, and I say there's a lot of mathematics in it, but when you really think about math, you start understanding things. It really is just all about putting things together, adding them together. Percent. What's the difference between a fraction, a percent, and decimal? It's just the way it's being produced. I mean, the way it's displayed, but they're still the same thing. So. You need. I would suggest we stop saying the reason that we should start saying the reason that the slave masters wouldn't let blacks read is because they didn't want the blacks to gain knowledge to lift themselves up out of slavery and up from under the submission or the oppression of white people ever again. And that sounds more logical than about our history because the black history about the pyramid stuff, I don't think came, it really started inflowing, I think, after France invaded. I could be wrong, but I do know that France has a lot of information. I mean, they got some stuff that I just browse through the internet, and sometimes I'll go through some things and see some stuff, and it's all French. I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. But please jump on this vocabulary thing when you're thinking. If you don't want to think, just stop creating these images. When you're thinking, you're not just thinking. You're sending commands. You're creating commands to send to your body and stuff like that. And you can stop. You can really stop. It's like I could think about my ex-wife. The first day we met. It feels good. Now I'm just thinking about her. Oh, I miss her, and I miss her, and what is missing? What does miss mean? How do you really have a feeling of missing something if you don't think about it? If you don't think about it, you're gonna miss it. And so we create these kind of false, I wouldn't say they false because they do deliver some kind of message of, well, you know, I got this image in my head, and then my ex-wife is not here, so I'm missing her. So I have to tell my body to act in a way of me missing her, you know. But you know, unless it's you know, lonely, with loneliness, you know, and you get just stuck, you know, you got to really stop doing that. And it's just your thinking, you know, it's really a simple process to fix. Your kids in school, go to school, it's the vocabulary. That's it. You know, you might have stress, whatever, but it's the vocabulary. Black kids need to start going to the libraries or going on the playground and get these dictionaries, and everyone take turns reading one entry, or start reading the sources and do it, because the the words, the information is already there. You know, the vocabulary came from what's here. You know, so you have this here. They call this a marker, but what is it? Well, actually, it's some type of maybe plants or whatever that's been heated up, whatever, and molded in ink that was dug up someplace, and blah 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 blah. And then by the time you describe what it is and how this was processed, you know, it's really actual. It's actual attributes and stuff that makes this up. Then it's like mathematics. Why is 3 times 15 easier? 3 times 15 equals to, I'm saying equals to, it could be equal to, but I'm just saying, I could be wrong. I need to look in the dictionary and check, because now, I'm going back and really looking up a lot of words to make sure I'm saying it right. But 3 times 5, 3 times 15, oops, 3 times 15 equals 2, and 3 times 15. What's the difference? Well, the only difference is this is less time consuming. That's it. If you were to read this in a book and you didn't know what time meant, what would you do? Well, you would look it up in the dictionary. But if you saw this here and you didn't know what it means, or let's say here's a limit, okay, and you should know what it means if you're gonna take the class. But let's say if you didn't know what it means, you just read it up, you know. Then and you got an iPhone and everything, or a smartphone or whatever. Then here you would look it up. Here you would look it up. And I've spoken to this. Had this conversation with a few brothers and stuff, and they said no, I wouldn't look it up. But if it was written in English, I would look it up. And I was like, why? What's the difference? Because 3 times 15 equals to, 3 times 15 equals to. They're not, when you say them in your brain, you say them out loud, you're not saying anything different. The only difference is this saves time. But the whole concept, or the whole meaning, definition, or whatever, is still there. There's no difference. So when you go to school, math is really easy. I mean, you guys know adding, subtracting, multiplying is just adding the same number. Division is just subtracting the same number. A fraction is just 2, it's less than 1. You know, and then when you have, like, if you have 15 over 27, all it's just saying is 15 divided by 27. So you got 27 divided by 15. Of course, it's going to be a decimal, whatever. 27, 3, 5, so it might be 4, 3, or whatever. But it's always going to be less than 1. You know, and a lot of, like I was talking to a couple of friends and talking about statistics and probability, and they're telling me, like, I don't know what it was, and I'm thinking, like, well, statistics is a percentage, and it's, you know, and probability is a percentage. You got either anywhere between 0 probability and 100% probability, but 0% equals to 0. That's nothing. And 100% probabilities equal to 1. So they're telling me that I can't understand mathematics from 0 to 1. And so we had like a 20-30 minute conversation about it. And I'm saying, listen, when you're talking about probability, you're not even talking about you got to do this. All you got to do is look in the dictionary and say, oh, it's not just that easy. I'm like, what's so difficult about doing probability and statistics when you're dealing with numbers that are equal to or greater than zero and equal to and less than one? They're fractions. Is it that difficult to deal with those? And then when they started thinking about it, they backtrack real quick, backtrack. And I said, no. I said, you guys just don't know what you're talking about. Maybe you need to go look up the word statistics and see what it really means, because maybe you don't. And everyone should know probability. It's like, well, I probably will go with, well, you know, can you give me a figure? Maybe 50%, I'll go 50%, 70, 30, so it's percentage and stuff, right? So when you go into school in your life, everything you can change, do everything fast. I know it's going to be hard because when you got those images that you this, you that, and that's the only thing that's keeping you going. But keeping those images and living up with those images, you're gonna have a lot of trials and errors that you don't have to go through. So it's like if you're doing drugs, well, the only reason you're doing drugs is not because it gives you a good feeling, but the reason you're doing it is because you got that control of what it's going to do for you. And so you're taking it hoping you're going to reach this high, and a high is not like this feeling high. It's just the same high you get from when this image that you had of taking it, but you already got the high. When you're thinking about this image, like you guys out there smoking marijuana, whatever, everybody got here's the trumpet. How do you make a trumpet? You got your music, you out there, whatever you're doing with your drugs, you feeling good. Well, you already felt good. Just thinking about it, you felt good. Going out and doing it is not going to get nowhere near close to the feeling that you already did. So when you're thinking about this girl, oh my God, that girl's fine, and that guy's handsome, and you got these feelings, that's it. That's the best maximum climax that you're going to have. Because when you engage in a relationship with that person, you're not going to reach that high state of excitement that you had in your mind. You're not going to do it, okay? And I'm not saying don't engage, but remember, when you go over and engage, then you have to teach them how to think. Or if you don't know how to think, they're going to have to teach you. And it's just this big circle. And you can change. I'm not saying I'm perfect. There's a lot of things that I need to change, but ever since I've been thinking about this thing and stuff, I was like, wow, this is really interesting, and it really has opened my eyes up to a lot of things. And maybe it's one reason why I was grew up and people get fighting and saying things about me and just going out, because I don't know how to get mad. What is getting angry? I know how to kick a table, but kicking the table is not getting angry. That's me commanding myself to kick a table. I know how to punch somebody, but that's not me getting mad. That's me telling my body to punch somebody. I know how to steal, but that's not me stealing because I want to feed my family. That's me stealing because I commanded my body to steal. I'm telling my body to steal. Now I'm telling my body to steal for the purpose of feeding my family, but I know that if I really want to feed my family, and the best food to get are seeds, put it in the ground, put some water in it, let it grow, and eat that. And people are like, well, whatever, I come out here in Japan, get an apple, big old apple, it's like $1.50 or whatever, and then I'm thinking like, I don't want that. And it's a healthy, ready to go food, so I might go to a different restaurant, eat something, go to the candy store, get a candy bar or whatever. And let's say I go to a restaurant, spend $8, $12, $15 on something to eat, and the things in it there's going to be things contained in it that my body doesn't need, so it's going to make me fat, because evidently I'm fat, so evidently I'm eating fat. But shoot, this thing's still on. Oh, good, I gotta go soon. But I'm still fat, so basically I know that I am, it changed speakers, sorry. I know basically that I am eating things that I don't need to eat. But if I ate that apple, because them things are huge and they're heavy, they're probably about, 500 grams, maybe a kilo, I don't know. Not a kilo, it could be a kilo. Those things are really heavy. But if I eat one of those apples, I know it's going to fill me up. So then I got to think, well, do I want to eat an apple that's healthy and my body's going to consume everything in it and it's going to cost me $1.50? Or am I going to go home and cook some food that I know that's going to make me fat, you know, and it's going to, or go to a restaurant, you know, and it's going to make me, more it's just gonna make me fat, you know. So what I gotta do is spend $10 for this food, or spend $1.50. Well, of course, my imagination. I'm sitting in a restaurant, I'm cool, this and that. So I go to the restaurant, I eat, and then I get all full and stuff. When I could have just ate the apple, got full, you know. And if I get hungry, eat two, three, four apples. Eat an apple, thing of grapes, and orange or whatever, you know. So, but I'm not saying that because like sometimes I went to because I know people need to make money and stuff, so I'm not discouraging that. But I went to the store one time and I went to this club. I think it's called Blue Zebra in Restaurant Row in Hawaii, in on Oahu Island, on Waikiki or Honolulu. I think it's Honolulu. And I would drink water, and the bartender got mad at me and said, "Why you always drinking water? It's so cheap and blah." I said, "Because I don't drink alcohol." "Yeah, but you just come here, you just drink water, two things of water." And I said, "Well, then charge me $8. Charge me $6 for a thing of water. I don't care. Make your money." And some places they do charge. I've been to some restaurants where you want some water and charge you $5 to $6, and it's cool. Give them their money for then entertaining. But I just want water, or I just want juice. So if I get some juice, and are you just buying? No, it's because I don't have any reason to drink alcohol so much. So if I want some juice, you want to charge me $8? Fine, here you go. I'm having fun. The entertainment I'm having now is worth $8 for some cranberry juice, which is going to fill me up. So I'll probably drink two or three. So that's what, $24 for three cups of cranberry juice, and I get to drive home without being drunk or whatever. So he got mad. And so I said, forget it. So I just gave him whatever price it was at that time of drink, as in tips and stuff. And then he was all happy. And then when I went to get some water, I was paying like, I don't know how much it was, because it was $6. So I just, water was like $1.50 or $2. And I put the $4 in the tip and stuff, And I don't really care, make the money and stuff. But it's really interesting. The reason I believe a lot of us are in the situation that we are in a situation is because we just neglected to learn the vocabulary that would have made us rise. And the higher you get, the more you'll be able to really truly enjoy life. I think that is all I have to say. So my next videos are going to, I'm not even gonna say what I want to make. I got some good ones I'm thinking about. They're really interesting, but every time I say them, I don't do them. That's why I don't say them, because it's that image. I got that image. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. And it's all controlled, because when I get out in the streets, like when I was doing those Black Man videos, I went, actually it was a couple of videos where I actually went and searched for people, and it's difficult. It really is difficult. So most of the, maybe only just two. The other videos, it just happened. Just walking in, looking, saying hi. And I'm like, hi, oh, hey, wait a minute, you want to make this video? And they're like, oh, okay. Like the two drunken girls. The one girl was, her friend came and she was all drunk, and Marina and someone else. I was just walking by McDonald's, and I got two videos of those. And I was just walking by McDonald's, and they were looking, so I just hi. And the one girl with the one with the glasses came over and all this stuff, And so, I don't go out and search for these things, it just happens. So, but I do want to make some videos. The next couple of videos, they're going to be true. But please utilize your dictionary, utilize a thesaurus, your brothers up your vocabulary. You can even do a lot of reading and go to these universities, and probably you can, skate right through them and stuff. Then what you're going to need to do too is probably start, writing the credentials and stuff that you need, the requirements. Open up your own schools, and make sure, that everything is being taught, and, see if the government accreditates you, and, You know, you can get your own degrees and stuff. You know, and stop protesting at these white people's colleges and universities, and go and create your own. You know, because I mean, you know, you guys really need to do that because a lot of people, it's the way they're thinking, and until they understand it, their thinking is pretty much all control that they're doing it. They're not going to change, and um, you know, by doing a lot of things, you're opening up a lot of other conditions that maybe you're not really prepared for and stuff like that. But I guess that's it. Oh, another thing too. The gap between the blacks and white is not because white kids are smart or anything. It was because their parents were more intelligent enough to use the professional vocabulary that they use in their jobs. They use it at home, and the kids didn't understand, so the kids just had to learn by context or stuff like that, and use a dictionary and stuff like that. In black neighborhoods, you got doctors and lawyers and stuff that are there, but when they're hanging out with you, they for some reason just act like the slave master and use the ghetto talk instead of using the intellectual talk. Because when you start using the intellectual talk, then you know when these kids go to universities and junior high school, elementary school, and high school and stuff like that, then they'll be able to function properly because they'll be able to understand the synonyms that are used in those classes. So if you want to change and want to help black men, these young black men do better in school, because the only reason they're dropping out is they just don't understand. It's just a vocabulary problem. That's it. And because once they all, I mean, even the gang bangers and stuff, you talk to them, you start using these words. When came back from Japan, I went to Venice, and I was just using these words and stuff like that. Or maybe when I came back from Philippines, I think it was. And I was hanging out, and they were like, "Why are you using all these words and blah?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Because and like, what are you talking about? It's like, well, I heard over the white neighborhoods and stuff. And they're like, we're using all these big words. And I'm like, they're not big words. It's just synonyms. It just means this. And then I got to thinking, oh man. And then, I started telling them, hey, you guys should start reading. And I'm telling you, the minute you start using the dictionary and you start reading, and you start actually looking what this word means, it's going to really wake you up, and you're going to really be able to comprehend more. Vocabulary is the spy, the key to any conversation that people have. So you might go to a really nice restaurant and see let's say two white guys, um, sitting at a bar, and you just happen to sit next to them. Of course, let's say they don't speak to you, but they're talking about finance, and they're using the finance, the vocabulary. And if you don't understand what they're saying, then they could be saying like, you know what, I'm about to drop $10,000 because this is what's going on in this country, and this product is going to be moved. So get in on this IPO, whatever it is, whatever. And if you don't understand what that stuff is, you right there, and they know you there, and they know they saying it, but they probably thinking, oh, well, maybe he's probably one of these. But they probably don't even care, but maybe they're saying like, they're not even worried, because they share information, you know. But if you don't understand it, it's going, and you're going to miss it, And then maybe you might hear, oh, this is something, you hear somebody, yeah, I was in this restaurant, these other guys were talking about this, and they were saying this word, something like that. And then one of your other friends might be like, you dummy, why didn't you do what they said? Well, I didn't know what they were talking about. Oh my God, we could have been rich if you just understood the vocabulary. So it's important. I'm done. Peace and how you say in Japanese? Peace and yeah, hit those books. Get y'all some dictionary studies. Get a dictionary. Everybody read it. 10 people read it. And start learning, because that stuff is good, and it's going to really, really help you in a lot of ways. Gosh, you'd be surprised. Anyway, I'm out. Peace.